In a world plagued by reboots, haunted by sequels, dominated by the same old shit, get ready for an original podcast that will gouge out your eyeballs and skull fuck you. Starring Ginger Josh, Adam the Hare, and introducing the immortal Frank. Hold on to your butts. It's the Game Rage Movies TV Podcast. Oh yeah. No fiddle fucking around today. We're getting straight into it. Bringing the heat. This is the Game Rage Movies and TV Podcast. I'm Josh. I'm here today with Adam.
Hello.
And we are bringing in episodes 7 and 8 of X-Men 97. And if you enjoy this podcast, you might want to go listen to all of our other ones at GameRageMagazine.com or wherever podcasts are sold. You can follow us at Game Rage Magazine on Instagram and TikTok. And you can also follow us at Game Rage Mag on Twitter. All Gas, No Trash Official for Adam if you want to get the latest in musical knowledge that you would have never known otherwise. Follow him at All Gas, No Trash Official. All right. X-Men 97.
All right, before we get to that,
all right.
I want to get under your skin a bit.
Oh, here we go.
Why do you say wherever podcasts are sold? They're not sold. It's all free.
Correct, but that's the saying. Like, that's the old saying of like, oh, you can get this and more wherever compact discs are sold or wherever videos are sold. Like, you know, the preview in front of like the Disney movies or whatever when we were kids, and it would be like coming soon, and then it would be like it would do the preview, and then it would say this and other titles available wherever tapes or wherever movies are sold, right? Like that's what I'm referencing, I guess.
Okay.
And I'm also just stupid, so there you go.
All right.
Did that satisfy your
no, because I wasn't setting out to do that. I was
you just want to piss me off. Oh.
Just asking why.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Challenging our way of thinking.
Yes.
All
First
right.
principle.
First principle, indeed. All right.
If you are feeling frisky and you want to get agitated about stuff and things, specifically topics that people have heated debates about, you listen to No Party Preference. And we just talked about communism, so I'm sure you can get hot-blooded about that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you understand what the reference first principle means. And I'll leave the rest to you.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Oh, man.
So now we're going to talk about episode 7 and 8 of X-Men 97. And what a great follow-up to episode 6. Episode 6, which I didn't particularly care all that much for, because if I had to be discreet, or if I had to be honest, I don't like the Shi'ar Empire shit. I don't fuck with that when it comes to X-Men. I know it's kind of been a big thing in the past as far as the comics go, and it's even been in the original series, but I just don't give a fuck, man. I only want things to be terrestrial on Earth, because that's where the bulk of the conflict is. I don't want it to go to extraterrestrial or, universal levels. I mean, yet, because we just got back and you're already starting that shit. Come on, episode 6? You fucking kidding me? Fuck, man.
Yeah, I agree. How very Magneto of you, because that's not an Xavier or a Charlesian type principle. Oh, but what about everyone else? And we're all equals. Come on, you guys. We can all be friends. No, fuck them aliens. All right.
Magneto was right, man. God damn it. I'm in the camp of fucking Magneto. I'll be straight up. If he was a real person, I'd be in his fucking camp easily.
You'd be a mutant terrorist at this point.
Sure.
No, I do agree. I almost don't care about these assholes. And
talking about the Shi'ar.
Yeah, and realistically, again, I don't know the big picture of the storytelling here, but I don't see how this matters with what happens. I don't see how this whole Shi'ar nonsense even matters. I think it could have been handled in maybe a 5-minute flashback or an explanation of Xavier just saying where he's been
in 5 minutes, you could have got that done, I feel like. And then that you didn't need a whole, essentially half of an episode dedicated to the explanation of how he's alive and, you know, all that nonsense. Because again, bringing in, what's his name? Ronan the Destroyer, and just having that little sequence, it almost seems like it's just going to be pointless. And the whole Shi'ar thing's not going to matter.
It does and it doesn't, because Xavier was pointing out that y'all are assimilating other planets and shit, and you're not really being helpful in that way because they're all abiding by whatever the dominion of the Shi'ar Empire is. And the only reason that the X-Men have curried favor with the Shi'ar is because of the Phoenix conflict that arose in past.
Right.
And it's like, all right, you guys are pretty all right. We're down with you. If y'all need help, we'll lend a hand.
Yeah, until we're gonna take your bitch ass over.
Yeah.
You can go fuck yourselves, humans. Terrans or whatever as they refer to us.
Sapiens. Sapiens to some.
Yeah, true.
So do you want to get down to episode 7?
So episode 7, Bright Eyes. Man, what a great name for the episode.
An allusion to Good Buddy Cable, son of Madeline Pryor / Jean Grey and Scott Summers. And a name that was introduced, I think, in episode 2 when Nathan... was it episode 2 or 4? I can't remember. But it was something that they gave a name to Nathan as an infant. And then in episode 5, when Madeline Pryor sees Nathan again, she says, "Oh, you have these bright eyes," like, you know, recollecting that it is in fact her son from the future. But episode 7, man, start off with fucking Gambit dead, the funeral, and then I should have known that Nightcrawler was going to be alive, because who else would run this funeral but the Catholic priest himself?
Yeah.
I should have known better, dude.
Should have known. Yeah, we should have known that this was coming. But either way, nonetheless, he's there. He's eulogizing Gambit. Rogue is nowhere to be found. Gone. Not making an appearance at the funeral. Now, what's his name? Nightcrawler, you know, he goes through and he gives does the service and, you know, does everything. And then, what's her name? I think Jubilee makes the comment about Rogue not being there or something like that. And she's all crying. And then fucking Nightcrawler, everyone grieves in their own way. Like, yeah, her way is to go out and kill people. And after the whole little eulogy thing, it kind of cuts to her.
Now, hold on.
Right?
Let's not gloss over the shit that Nightcrawler said.
Okay, all right, yeah. Let's deep that. Yeah, give me the numbers here.
Because Nightcrawler gave an apt eulogy for Gambit, talking about how cards like life is wild.
Oh yeah, man, that's true.
And that Gambit was bluffing. Just the word choice that he was using is this guy was bluffing to be a bad guy, but he's a fucking gentleman at heart, which we got to see in episode 5 when he said, "No, you guys figure out what is best for the mutant kind, Rogue and Magneto. We'll just be friends. But we can't do this anymore because it's already becoming a problem." And then the motherfucker steps beyond that, being self-sacrificial to save so many lives by blowing up the three-headed master mold. And I thought that was very cool of Nightcrawler to use his dynamic of the cards and saying how life is wild. Cards are wild, man. And this guy was putting on a front for the longest time, but deep down, at his core, he's a fucking good guy.
Yeah, and didn't he say something about he said something about his tell, like his one of his tells or whatever. Yeah. And I just thought it was funny that like Gambit as a character is basically the personification of degenerate gambling. And It's funny how when he's dead, he's using all of these gambling references to, it was cool. It was cool. I'm not like knocking it or anything. I just thought it was funny. And it's cool that he did that. And everything was all about, essentially, it was like his gimmick, it's like his heavy gimmick. And it was cool. It was cool to see. Nightcrawler did a good job with that, I felt like.
Yeah, and then Rogue invades a U.S. secret base, and then she does her NBC. Well, I guess it's not exclusive to Marvel vs. Capcom, because I think wherever she appeared in the previous crossover games, she had this dive kick, and that's straight from the Marvel vs. Capcom crossover games. That not exclusively Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but because I'm bringing it up. It is that one for the sake of that's the one that everybody knows.
Yeah.
And I have to say, man, as the series progresses near the end, or as we get towards the end, there's so many more cameos, and I'm starting to believe that this isn't just a one-off type of thing, that we're only going to get the X-Men, because at this point they got to run this puppy into the ground, and we've gotten flashes of different characters, and namely, once Rogue invades the U.S. secret facility or whatever the fuck it was, Thunderbolt Ross from the Hulk universe, or the Hulk cast, whom most people will come to know as Red Hulk in the future, but just the fact that he's even fucking in this, I just think that there's more to come. And then Hulk is even acknowledged in the series. It says, well, we can't just be worried about the mutants, because this facility is supposed to handle a Hulk, so it should handle Rogue. And then she just busts through I don't know what she does, but she ended up getting right in Thunderbolt Ross's face to find out where Bolivar and Gyrick could possibly be.
Yeah, and I thought that was a cool little line where he's like, "Oh, guys, don't worry about shit. This facility was meant to hold the Hulk." And then she just busts through the ceiling, and I was like, "Well, I guess that wasn't true. Sucks to be you guys." And also, everything that they ever knew about, oh man, this is super safe. This high super. Oh nope, that was all bullshit.
Out the window,
gone. So then she goes and is there something that happens in between that exchange, or does she go straight to the log cabin deal?
No, well, so before that even happened, Cyclops asked the U.S. president and UN to help for finding survivors in Genosha, even if it's for one person. Even if it's for one person, they're like, "Nah, we can't really do that because, well, I'm president, and in order for me to be reelected, your kind is problematic. So it's bad optics at this point to help the mutants." And Cyclops is like, "What the fuck?" And Cyclops points out that Dr. Cooper is also missing still. President doesn't give a damn. Just to create the dynamic or contrast that humans amongst themselves are expendable.
Right.
And mutants, every fucking life matters because there's so few of them. And that shit got to me. Because even Cyclops is like, even if it's for one person, because there's so few of them. You got something to say?
Yeah, well, then I don't remember what the line is that he exactly says to him, but then he hangs up on the president and basically tells him to fuck off. And this is where, when we kind of make the comparisons, we were talking before about the Powers of X, House of X, kind of some of the comparisons to that, and they're including some elements of that storyline. I feel like this is the furtherance of the Cyclops heel turn. And I think he's slowly turning towards the camp of Magneto. In these humans just want to kill us. Like, why the fuck are we protecting them? And he's starting to doubt himself. He's starting to challenge his own way of thinking. And I think we're going to see more of that as this series continues on later into season 2.
That does eventually happen in the X-Men continuity, where Cyclops and Wolverine were diametrically opposed because they ended up taking two schools of thought, where Cyclops was more deviating towards where Magneto was at.
Yeah.
Because they've already been through enough shit, and being more pacifist or trying to assimilate with humanity hasn't worked. And Wolverine ended up taking Xavier's side and saying that, dude, I've already been down that path where being proactive about mutant kind with violence, what Magneto's doing, that just ends in more bloodshed. And that was kind of a cool, I don't know how people felt about the event, but just the philosophies between the two people, for somebody that has experienced what violence does, is taking Xavier's position and being more pacifist, and Cyclops, who was a student of Xavier, to flip his perspective and go, man, I'm fucking done with all this. I'm joining this other camp because this is what's necessary for these times. So that's happened in the comic sense as well. So Jean and Cyclops end up at Genosha trying to find any lives that they can, because she's using her psychic abilities to try to tap into anybody that's around,
Still alive, right?
that she could ping and possibly find. And she makes some comment about how like these grounds are like they're grounds for ghosts, because she hears these voices not only of the people that have died, but the people that are still trapped, or it's just negative energy all around. And there was a woman who was triaging for the survivors of Genosha that ended up being harmed and everything. And she's saying that, oh, we're glad you survived, and you know we hope things get better. And I'm not sure if this is the case for like survivor's guilt, if this is the definition for survivor's guilt, but she says that it's so painful to be alive because she has to witness everything that's already happened. I don't think that's survivor's guilt, because I think that's more, why am I alive and all this shit. She's just saying, fuck, this is a lot to experience, and I still have to deal with this, and I lived, and I'm just like, God damn.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking shit, man.
Yeah.
That's rough. And so they do find someone, right? Or is that after? This cuts between so many different things. Like, you took the good notes. So
yeah. So then even the journalist Tilby, the one that's rizzing up Beast, she's like, holy shit, you guys have been through some fucking horror. I mean, this master mold, this 3-headed master mold, just wiped out who knows how much of your population. And then Beast is like, I don't need this right now. You made your comments in the past, and you were doing all these things, what he called yellow journalism. I don't need your sympathy, but she's there. And then we get to the encounter with Rogue and Captain America.
Yeah, so Rogue goes up to some place where she figured out that Gyrick or one of them is at. And so she goes up there. She finds out that the shit's empty. Captain America fucking rolls up, and he's like, yo, what's up, bitch? Like, he's fucking just like, what's cracking? And she's like, oh, I'm here to find this fool. And he's like, yeah, what do you think I'm doing here? I already got here. And they're gone. They fucked off. I don't know what this is. Was it OZT or something, right?
Yeah, so the base, that this was like an underground base, and whatever happened, they had just escaped. And there's all these materials left behind that makes them question what's going on. So there's this thing called OZT, which is, I guess maybe we'll explain in later episodes, but Rogue is of the idea that, sure, it's great that the U.S. government is using Captain America to do research, and they want to do things by the book, and that's why he's there. And Rogue is like, well, this is personal to mutant kind, so we don't really fucking need you to fuck with our personal affairs. What matters to us, we don't need the law, the U.S. law. We don't need the U.S. government because they haven't looked out for us anyway. So fuck, what the fuck do we care about why you're here? Why are you even here to begin with, you know?
Yeah, and he's like, I gotta basically do this shit with no questions can be. No one can question the validity of what I'm doing here and how we go about doing this. Because we're not just gonna kill this dude. We got to take him in, give him due process, you know, all that stuff. And she's like, nah, fuck that. We're killing this guy. And so he's like, well, my hands are tied. And she's like, oh, really? Well, then I guess you won't be needing this. And she fucking chucks his shield. I thought that was hilarious. She chucks it into a mountain range. I was like, damn, what a dick. But funny.
And he just stares.
Yeah.
He just stares at her. Doesn't say anything. It's fucking hilarious.
He's like you can see in his eyes. He's like, you know what? He's like, you know, I gotta walk to go get that, right? Like, you fucking dick. Unnecessary, but hilarious.
So part of the investigation that they did in this secret base is they came to find out that Gyrick is actually in Mexico City.
Yeah.
And in the midst of all this, I don't remember if it was specifically in Genosha, but Jubilee and Rob talk about hypotheticals. If Rob potentially would have died in Genosha, would his parents care, if they even cared at all? Because it's not like his mother is all that much involved in his life.
True, yeah.
And it's like, how problematic would it be if she found out that he was a mutant? So then the riots start happening across the United States. It's so interesting how this disaster has been spun or framed in a negative light, where the mutants haven't even begun to retaliate, and they're already framing it as though the mutants are going to start a war with the humans. That was how the shit got rolling. Instead of creating sympathy for these people, it's met with, oh shit, well, this happened. Well, we got to anticipate that this is going to lead to war. And that's how the news reports it. And it's fucked up. It's honestly fucked up. And Beast makes a comment or alludes to MLK, who says that riots are the language of the unheard. So I thought that was interesting, because now we have the US, who were basically cool with mutant kind existing, so to speak, or in principle. But then as this unfolds, they're like, fuck all you. Like, you are officially the enemy. And
yeah,
I thought that was, you know, an astute as Beast tends to make astute observations.
Indeed. Yeah. It's that whole saying of, oh, everything's all good until it's not. And everything, we were cool with you guys. Oh, but now we're not. Now, sorry, get fucked. We don't want to deal with this. You're going to fucking cause problems. And the answer is no, we're not having it. So it was interesting to see that. And then that's when I think we see Jubilee and what's his name? Roboito get fucking cornered by one of the riot mobs, and then Storm and Forge come in, right, and save them. Or was that later?
I think that was later.
All right, well, whatever. We'll get to that then. What happened
so then Beast is fucking salty that Tilby said mutants need to be more peaceful to protest. And then he comes at her and says, well, you were reporting while the deaths of the mutant kind were happening. So like, what legs do you have to stand on? Yeah. And then let's see. Rogue finds Gyrick, asks about Bolivar's whereabouts what OZT means.
She goes down to Mexico to find him, right?
Right.
That's where we get into Mexico. And well, we'll get to that in a second after you say this part.
Jean Grey has psychic flashes of lost lives. Jean and Cyclops working out. So this is the portion of Cyclops and Jean while they're in the midst of finding potential lives that are
alive.
that they're sorting out their problems now. Is now Jean is starting to come around to the idea that Madeline and Cyclops or Scott Summers are having this. I don't know if you want to call it an affair because I know it's not technically cheating, but
It's
it's a gray area.
It is super gray because you're right. It's you.
Yeah.
It's literally you. You guys share the same fucking memories and the same experiences. And it's like the fuck. What? This is a no-win situation for old Cyclops.
Yeah, but at the very least, Jean starts to come around to, even though I don't like this, I definitely can understand why you feel this way because you have a kid with this woman who isn't and is me. But
well, also I will say I think she makes this comment later, but after she made the comment about how that's why Madeline was smiling when she puts it together about the cable thing or whatever. That's why I felt joy right before she died. Okay, well, you already know this bitch is dead. So why are you even mad about this anymore? She's dead. There's no fuck. You're the only Jean now, basically. It's just you. You know she's dead. You felt it in your fucking mind because you guys were fucking linked or whatever, and you know she's dead. So why are you holding it against him now? Now there's no other option now. She's dead, so it's cool. And it's funny how now, now that she's dead, all right, well, I guess I'll fucking come around now. It's just funny. I just find it funny. It's good story. It's part of the storytelling. It's good character fucking depth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I also want to add that something else that I wanted to bring up in the last episode was that it is rather beautiful that a woman that's supposed to be technically a clone has a child for somebody that has shared memories with somebody else that she seemingly doesn't have her own identity, but for her, even her child that was born with disabilities is more than enough for her because that is her own.
Yeah.
That's hers.
Right. Yeah.
And not to say that's in a competitive sense with Jean Grey, but that as an individual for somebody that's looking for herself, it's fucking great, dude. You shouldn't care about a clone, but somehow you end up giving a shit ton for Madeline Pryor.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
So, Emma Frost, who is also sidekick, is found because Jean Grey pings her with her psychic abilities.
Yeah.
So they end up, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth connecting. They end up Bluetooth connecting, and then Beast makes an observation and says, "Oh, that's fucking weird." It appears that Emma Frost has taken on a second mutation with a diamond form. And he's like, well, shit, maybe there's a potential for other mutants to take on a second mutation that gives them another ability. So alluding to the future of the X-Men, that they possibly could exhibit other X genes that allow them to gain extra abilities.
Yeah, abilities and whatnot.
So then we cut to Cyclops, or the X-Men at large, getting contacted by Bolivar Trask, who says that this whole thing was orchestrated by Sinister's doing. And Trask asks for the X-Men to meet with him at some UN building or some bullshit.
Yeah.
And then concurrently, Jubilee and Rob end up going to meet with Rob's mother because after all that hypothetical talk of what would have happened if he died, that his mom would have found out if he was a mutant. So they're like, well, I might as well fucking go tell her if I end up fucking dying because all the shit that's happening. I'd rather tell her myself than have her find out on the news. And Rob's mom ends up finding out, or rather she already knew that her son was a mutant. And Rob's mom wants her son to keep quiet because this is one of the most fucked up things ever. And she says that she wants to keep his mutant
what do you want to call it?
Mutant abilities?
His mutant abilities
Or
or the
his
fact
mutant
or
status, I guess?
his mutant status under wraps because it could affect their business.
Yeah.
So she's putting her business or the business of the family over Rob's life.
Yeah, and look at the juxtaposition of the two things, right? That just happened. He tells her this thing and she says, "Oh yeah, we already knew." And we knew we both, your father and I both decided it's your secret to tell. So we're going to let you figure it out because we're accepting of you. And it was this like really beautiful moment. And then it immediately gets hit with, well, now we got to figure out the ground rules of how we can't let this get out because if the shareholders find out, we're fucked. Like it's at the end, it's still all about the money. And it was a cool, like I said, juxtaposition of those two things of being the mother and also doing what's best for business, I guess, as they say. So I thought that was a really cool little fucking thing. And it immediately turned.
It just made her out to be a bitch, honestly. And how fucked up his family is that using this information, they have to tuck it away in order to preserve what they have.
Yeah.
Let's see. So then Rogue meets with Nightcrawler, and Nightcrawler is consoling her about the passing of Gambit. And oh shit, I actually don't remember who killed Gyrick. I wrote that down. I don't remember. Do you remember that?
I thought she did. Didn't she kill him? Or no, she got fucked up because of shit. Who came in? Wait, hold on. Because somebody kills him. And then
oh, I think it was Bastard, right?
Oh, yeah. He killed. Wait, does he? Wait. No.
I think I gave away.
No.
I spoiled it, right?
Well, whatever. Yeah, but who cares? Well, people have already probably seen this, but yeah, Gyrick. I don't remember if she kills him or not. Fuck.
I think I have it in my notes.
Okay,
if we continue with it, I think we'll get to that conclusion.
All right.
So then Morph finds a secret elevator because Trask makes some reference about, oh, there's plenty of diet sodas, alluding to that in order for them to get to the secret area.
All right. So before we get to that, though,
okay,
I'm surprised you didn't write this down. When Rogue is having that moment where she's being consoled by what's his name, Nightcrawler, because they're in Mexico, and you see, it really starts to hit her because it's like the Dia de los Muertos thing, right? It's like the Day of the Dead. So they're doing all the stuff where and it's kind of cool because Nightcrawler is using that to say, oh, like, this is like the celebration or whatever, basically. Like, look at how they're doing this. Everybody mourns in their own way, right? All that, and then blah, blah, blah. And then Rogue has this fucking breakdown where she cries and she's all this, she gets sad, right? But I thought that was a kind of cool little moment where, oh, they incorporated this cultural thing of the place where they're actually at, and it worked out to where, oh, this was a remembrance of the dead, right? And it was like there was some cool symbolism there with that. And then that's after the fact when they get that message from, or Morph says, oh, I got this message from fucking Trask. And he's like, you guys, he literally gets on the radio. He's like, you guys come get, look at this. That's what I thought in my head when that was happening. And so they all go there to the jet, all the X-Men that are on Genosha, and they basically just say, oh shit, what do you want, you son of a bitch? And he basically tells him this cryptic shit, and then he's like, come meet me at the UN headquarters in, I don't remember where it was at, but wherever the fuck it was. And he's like, and just remember, they're never out of diet soda or some shit like that. And so then they go and they get there. And then that's when Morph is just, never out of diet, huh? And he pushes the button. And he's like, I want some diet soda. And then, it's like this secret fucking hatch that opens. And they're like, oh, weird. I think Rogue makes a comment about, creepy scientist with a weird door thing. Interesting. And then that's when they go down and they see all this fucking advanced robotics and Sentinel, all this crazy shit. And they're like, what the fuck is going on? And then that's when obviously they run into Trask, and Trask is basically about to jump off the fucking building. And Rogue's just kind of like, fucking let him. Who cares? Like, fuck this guy.
Or she throws him off.
Well, initially, yeah. Well, prior to that, they're like, she's like, oh, or so one of them tells them, oh, we got to fucking stop this guy from killing himself. And Rogue's like, fuck that. Like, I don't want to. And then she gives him an option of, or she says something to him. And then he says something back and she goes, heh, and then drop, because he's begging, oh, I don't want to die or something like that. And she's like, bitch, you were just about to jump off this fucking building. Like, oh, you didn't really mean it. And she's like, well, too bad. And then she chucks him. And then that's when the reveal happens. Well, that's not necessarily a reveal. I don't know. But it's where Trask turns into a sentinel, basically.
Well, it was also revealed that so there was teases visually that there was an OZT guard.
Yeah.
And as we come to find out that OZT stands for Operation Zero Tolerance, that there are supposed to be no mutants. They're not supposed to be tolerated. And Bolivar makes some kind of Oppenheimer quote.
Oh, yeah. He says that, like, I have become death, like the destroyer of worlds.
Yeah. And ironically, he becomes a machine himself, as we come to find out that his death provokes the Prime Sentinel gear or whatever nanotech exists within his body, that he too has now become a puppet.
Yeah.
And in the midst of, before the death of Bolivar Trask, he says that Sinister is making new Sentinels and that they're injecting it to, I can't remember who specifically it was, but it comes out later that it wasn't just some of the people that they were testing it out on, but it was civilians at large.
Yeah, and they were just wiping their memory so they'd have like no idea that this ever even happened. Which was kind of fucking genius. Like, that plan is genius.
Mm-hmm.
It is so genius because they were going to basically just wait till they had basically almost all of the human population set up. That was their original plan. And then they were going to pop all these fucking Sentinels and these Prime Sentinels, just kill everybody. And then everybody goes back to just being human and everybody's human because all the mutants are dead. That was their original plan. But then with all this shit and they found it, they had to pop this plan a little bit early.
Yeah, and there is more to add about that, but it'll be in
the next episode, right?
Perhaps the next episode. So now Trask is a Sentinel hybrid between human and Sentinel tech. So then, as Bolivar Trask, the Prime Sentinel, is just whooping ass. And there's debris that falls from the top of the building, and Jean Grey uses her telekinesis to save the people below. That even in the midst of all this shit, of their kind being threatened for their own survival, that even Jean Grey is willing to take the time to save human lives.
Yeah,
which is cool.
It is. It really is.
And we get to see Cyclops do an optic blast where he unloads with his little headset.
Yeah,
or his eye gear. He's like, oh, fuck that. I'm gonna let this motherfucker have it because, well, he's technically undead.
Right,
somewhat.
yeah, technically, I guess.
And then as they get manhandled, Sentinel drops a little bit of lore or exposition that his mind is actually the master mold from the Sahara Desert, because he makes somebody.
Yeah, that's right.
He says something along the lines. Oh, you remember me from the Sahara Desert or some bullshit? So this is the same master. It's as if though Bolivar Trask is the vessel for this master mold artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And then who else but comes in with the save but the son of Cyclops and Madeline Pryor, Nathan Summers, Cable.
Good buddy Cable.
With an EMP grenade. And yeah. Yeah,
once that happens, then the Does that when the thing happens where all of them hit up, or was that?
I think that's episode 8.
That's the next one. Okay, all right.
Yeah, Cable mentioned Sinister is working for someone else. So there
that's
is. Cable finds out that there is a party beyond Sinister that's pulling the strings. Bastion is revealed as the mastermind, and Sinister is working with Bastion, this Prime Sentinel, and what Sinister wants out of this deal is just to experiment on mutants, and that's what he wants most out of all this.
Yeah.
In order for him to work with Bastion. And Bastion mocks Sinister and villains for not adapting, that they all fall into the same bag of tricks that they continued to use against the mutant. That's why they always fell. And in order for them to overwhelm or overcome the X-Men, that you need to it's the Bear Grylls mentality.
Yeah.
Which is, I can't think of it, but it's
like what is it? I don't know. Drink your own piss is the
adapt, overcome. I forgot the third one.
Drink your own piss. That's
Drink your piss, adapt, overcome,
and survive or something like that. I think
survive, adapt, overcome.
Drink piss.
So then, for the element we're talking about with the news framing the X-Men already in a negative light, Bastion is even orchestrating that shit on another level.
Oh yeah.
Where he takes the information of Xavier, this and it's taking it out of context, because this was prior to when Xavier had decided that he was going to come back and renounce joining the Shi'ar Empire.
Yeah.
But he took the clip that says that he was potentially going to be
the Emperor,
in alignment with them. And that is spun in a way to say that the X-Men are now aligned with the Shi'ar Empire, and that this is going to be an invasion of humanity.
Yeah, and that they're traitors to Earth, basically.
So it is also revealed at the end of the episode that Bastion ends up having Magneto, who is not in fact dead, but was captured by Bastion. And that's how the episode ends.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's fucking shaving him.
Yeah, he's literally shaving him, which was pretty fucking menacing, I felt like.
Very creepy.
Super creepy, but top heel maneuver, man. Like, what a great fucking way to intimidate somebody, to just be like, I could literally kill you right now with this little thing, but I'm doing this act that is so benevolent or so minuscule, the act of just shaving. But yet, if I felt like it, I hold all the cards, because I could turn from just shaving you to killing you right now in one swipe of my wrist.
Right.
Menacing. Excellent. So then that's when we go basically into episode 9, which is episode 8, which turns into essentially a 3-part episode titled Tolerance is Extinction.
Which was something that was mentioned in the first episode, that Gyrich was of the belief that if tolerance of mutants is permitted, then it'll be the end of humanity. And how aptly named is the operation to eliminate mutants? It is zero tolerance. So zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance.
So we start off the episode with Cable is doing target practice, and then he eventually meets up with the rest of the X-Men, where he says that he gives the exposition about Bastion's origins, or what they know.
Yeah.
And he's kind of negligent towards Cyclops, and not even, it's kind of fucked up, because Cyclops was the one that was fighting for him in his infancy, talking about how he never wanted to send him to the future, but in order for him to live, he had to go 300 years in the future. And Cyclops is like, I can't even fucking witness this. I can't believe I'm abandoning my own kid. Like, he was so adamant about not letting his own kid go that Cable doesn't even fucking understand that, dude.
Yeah.
That shit sucks, man. That there's this discord between them when theoretically, like, Cyclops was fighting for him, even though he doesn't know about it.
Yeah, yeah. And Cable's explaining about how basically that attack on Genosha is like an absolute point or something like that. in the timeline.
It's a fixed point. It's a fixed.
Yeah, it's like a fixed point that can't be changed. Like there are certain absolutes that have to happen in the times, and something like that, that's become an absolute point. So like he's gone back. He says he's gone back. However, he hasn't. I don't think he says the number of times yet, but he reveals that he's gone back and tried to change it, and he's learned that that is one of the absolute points, and there's nothing that anyone can do to change that event happening. Like the event has to happen, but we can change other portions of things that happen after that. And he's basically failed every single time.
Right. And so while he's before that meeting, Cyclops and Jean are talking, and he's just like, fuck, my own son hates me. This shit sucks, dude. And we're not getting along, and it's just tough. And then Jean makes a comment that I really like that says, some lessons are taught and others are learned.
Oh, yeah.
And I fucking love that, because there's some things that you have to learn on your own, and there's things that you can be taught because you're willing to listen. And this is one of those times where, you know, him as a father, he's like, fuck, man, you just got to take this shit in stride, because this is who could have thought that your son would have lived in the future and come back and is trying to fix the timeline in order for us to have a future. But that also means that he also hates you because he thinks that you neglected him.
Right. And also meaning that there's some lessons that you can be told, hey, this is what is going to happen or whatever. And then there's some lessons that it doesn't matter. You have to have experienced it yourself to learn what this really means.
Shit, man. And that applies to Magneto so much.
Yeah.
Because Xavier hasn't fucking experienced the shit that Magneto has gone through. And yeah, Xavier has high hopes about what the future could hold for mutants and humans, but he's just too optimistic, man.
Yeah.
And nobody has been through the shit that he's seen, the worst of humanity, and he's completely in the right, which Dr. Cooper later spells out in later episodes, but I'm detracting from the point.
Yeah.
So Cable spells out that, or rather Bastion, I can't remember if it was Cable that said it or Bastion, but it is revealed that Bastion invaded Genosha to get funding for the Prime Sentinel program. And Bastion uses the techno-organic virus to create a new species of Sentinels. So he uses the same virus that Cable was infected with by Sinister in order to create these Prime Sentinels. Bastion is fighting a war against mutants 300 years in the future. And that's how long of a game that he's played in order to eradicate, or rather enslave, humanity or mutant kind into the future. And then I love, okay, for the one time that Morph actually talks, or is joking, or one of the many times that he's joking, this was the one that hit for me, was when he says that Morph, I have a comment that says, Morph makes a joke about Bastion's dystopian future where Logan is the last to die. And there are a lot of scenarios where Logan is kind of like, even in Dawn of X, or like House of X and Powers of X, Wolverine is one of the people that is left. One of the very last people that's left. And I think this is also a possible allusion to Old Man Logan, the storyline of Logan being in the dystopian future as well. So I thought that was a funny comment.
Yeah, that was a fucking hilarious comment.
So then Bastion starts revealing his plans and saying that in order for humanity not to stay in place, humanity needs to upgrade.
Yeah.
And Bastion is affording them these opportunities to upgrade themselves, maybe not willingly, but against their will, in order to overcome the mutant kind. And Logan is pissed that Cable hasn't stopped this future. Cable tells Logan to calm down. Cyclops tells Logan to calm down. And then, I think I mixed this up. Hold on. Cable tells Logan to calm down. Wolvie says, Daddy's home. So that's when Cyclops arrives. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Daddy's home. Yeah. And then after that, that's when they go to Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah. And just before that, Cable has in fact tried to save the future multiple times. In fact, it's 200 times that he's tried to get things right, but it hasn't worked out. Jean Grey points out that Cable met with his mom, Madeline, and because
yeah. And that's where she says that thing about, oh, that's why Madeline, there was joy right before she died or whatever.
Cable said he had a buddy that found out a lead to Bastion's facilities in this specific timeline. So I don't know if he's actually alluding. It's not said whether it was Bishop that was the person that fed him the information. So then it is further elaborated that Bastion is the vessel for the Master Mold, but he's also, well, I guess we'll have to get to episodes 9 and 10 to talk about the other side of Bastion.
Right, yeah.
So Cable wants to avenge his mother. Cyclops says, cool your jets. And then Cable says, too late for the overprotective father bit or overprotective dad bit. Jean breaks up the verbal exchange and points out Xavier is alive. Bastion has footage of Xavier's return. It appears as though Xavier is with the Shi'ar Empire, therefore alluding to that the Shi'ars and mutants are in cahoots and possibly invading humanity to wipe them out. And then Bastion has footage of Xavier's return and news outlets are spinning Xavier's alliance as a takeover of Earth. Rob's mom is trying to host charity event, but Jubilee thinks it's whack. Rob and Jubilee leaves. It's turning into a laundry list of just shit that's happening. This episode, this thing is going from like taking time to let things unfold from like the death of Gambit. Now we're just kind of like going full fucking clip. It's all things are firing on all cylinders from basically episodes 8 to 10.
Yeah, they're machine gunning at them. Oh shit, now there's this problem. Oh shit, fuck, now we gotta deal with this. Oh god, here we go. Like it's getting intense. So this is the one where, or this is where all the fucking, when they go to the town, right? That's when the whole shit pops off. They go to the town, the Pennsylvania town. It's like this recreation of something that was Trask's like, or not Bastion's like hometown or whatever, right?
Yeah. So Bastion, Cable, and Cyclops are, at least if I'm not mistaken, they go to Bastion's seemingly first home, but shit. So we have Nightcrawler, who brings up how Madeline dealt with a lot as a clone of Jean. Jean points out that their pains are shared amongst each other, that whatever she felt, she was also feeling, even though she didn't technically give birth to Cable. Right. She was also, she got the sympathy pains or the empathy pains of giving birth to fucking Nathan Summers or Cable.
Right.
God damn it. There's so much shit.
Yeah, it's just fucking a lot.
Nightcrawler says, who cares if they were yours or hers, in referring to memories. You felt them as if they were real. So that's all that really technically matters. And you know, Nightcrawler is trying to help Jean kind of cope with not only the death of maybe her sister, I guess in a figurative way.
Right, yeah.
But saying like she had her own life too, and she had her own pains, but you each had your own experiences. But who's to say that any of these things were not real to you? Like they're your experiences. They're both your experiences, and each of you are valid.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Shit, man. What else do you got the note? You got your own notes or what?
Yeah. I didn't really take notes. I'm just reading back the episode synopsis because I'm just making sure we're on like the right track. But yeah, when they get there to the whole thing in Pennsylvania, they meet up with Trask's like mom or whatever, right?
Bastion's mom.
Sorry, I keep getting the fucking. Yeah, they meet up with his mom, and then she's like this innocent old lady. Oh yes, you know, so and so was different, and Bastion was different, and blah blah blah. And then they're talking about how she rejected Xavier to take him into the school, right? Or something like that. And that they're saying about how, oh man, this could have been all different. Like Cable makes a comment about it about like, oh yeah, like this is one of the turning points of like, oh, if this would have went the other way, then yeah, like obviously he would have ended up being one of the first students. He was like one of the first people that was approached to come to the Xavier school or whatever. And she was like, nah, fuck off. We ain't about that life. And during all this exposition, I forget what happens, but then she straight turns into a Sentinel fucking Prime. And they're like, oh shit. And so they're all fucking, they fight her or whatever. And then it turns into this thing where all the other people in the town basically turn into Sentinel Primes. And there's this huge flurry of them coming at them. And then I think, what's his name? Cyclops makes some kind of line about, hey, to Cable, he's like, got any more of those EMP grenades? And he's like, yeah, I got nothing that big. Like, we're fucked, buddy. Like, we need to get the hell up out of here. So they start trying to like make their escape. And then I think it goes back into showing other X-Men and it shows like other X-Men dealing with this activation now that's happened, this mass activation. And what's his name? Because Bastion activates all of them at this point, I think, right? And then that's when they're like, oh shit, like this is fucked up. And I think it's revealed that what's her name? What's her name? Cooper Bart. What's her name? Fucking the Cooper lady. She
Dr.
fucking
Cooper.
releases. That's when she releases Magneto. Like
That's
that
like
later?
that's I think that's later, dude.
Well, that's in part 1 though. It's still in the same episode. Yeah. So, all right, well, whatever. So there's back there in the town or whatever. And yeah, I think that's what happens next. What do you got?
Shit. Well,
After the little synopsis in the town.
yeah. Well, there's some stuff that happened before where Nightcrawler is talking about how family is a choice because him and Rogue were basically had the same upbringing, and that blood doesn't mean everything because their families are fucked up. Mystique left him behind, and Rogue's mother wasn't all that helpful to her. And he said, the thing that Rogue and I have is that we made family a choice, and we chose to have each other we chose to have each other in each other's lives, and that includes the X-Men themselves.
Yeah.
And then Beast gives out the coordinates to Bastion as humans are protesting mutants in the streets. Cooper calls Sinister Bastion's Mangala, which is funny because, so they eventually get to Bastion's lair, and Dr. Cooper, who is part of the UN, and Sinister are having this conversation, and she makes this joke about Bastion being or rather Sinister being Bastion's Mangala, who was a Nazi who did deadly experiments and was known as the Angel of Death, who and it's funny because Sinister makes a comment right after where he's like, I really like that guy, but he really didn't live up to his full potential. He rather parade as being a Nazi.
Yeah.
That was fucking hilarious.
That was.
Tilby apologizes to Beast. Beast runs experiments on Trask. Because they now have him in possession of his corpse, and he states the irony of Trask becoming a machine like his own creations. Cable and Jean and Cyclops visit Bastion's old home. Greeted by an old woman who is presumably his mother, Bastion could hear machines at a young age. And this scene was so fucked up because at a young age, he's hearing all these things. And then on top of that, he's having these flashes. And there was actually these flashes that Jean had about Nimrod.
Right, yeah.
In episodes like the very early episodes, when she sees the post-apocalyptic future, she sees Nimrod. And then Bastion is also having these dreams about a wiped out world, and like Sentinels are like reigning supreme. And then she gives the exposition of Bastion's birth, which was somewhat immaculate because Bastion's father gets infected with the techno-organic virus, but it just kind of like shows up and infects him.
Yeah.
And then it gives birth to him. And, or rather, his father and his mother have coitus, and then he's given birth, or rather he's birthed. And then it is revealed that he is like the medium between the future and the past. The Sentinels being the starting point of robots taking over the world. Bastion is the medium, and then Nimrods are what will become of the end stage or the end game for Sentinels. So Bastion has both descendants, or he is a descendant of both things.
Yeah.
Past and future.
It's like the evolution of all that combined finally into one thing or whatever.
Right.
It's like the middle gap or the middle ground.
And so then we cut back to Bastion, who says, bully an underdog too long and people will feel sorry for them. Bastion calls Gyrick a village idiot for creating sympathy for mutants.
Yeah.
Which he did by Sentinels. It's too primitive. Like, it's too on the nose. And so Bastion gave mutants their statehood to make them seem like a threat to humanity. And that's what ends up unfolding, is that he orchestrated this whole fucking plan to essentially make mutants be the threat that they're painted out to be. And then he points out to humanity, or is stating about humanity, because when your skin's not in the game, apathy is your answer. So
that's right. Yeah.
So in order for them to care about what's going on in the world, he had to make them care. So he created the state of Genosha for mutants in order to for people to get the ideas like, oh, holy fuck, these guys are a threat to us. So now humanity is invested in the sovereignty of Genosha because it threatens them. Dr. Doom, Baron Zemo, and another figure are invested in Bastion's plan. Bastion points out mutants outnumber humans 10-1 in 100 years. And he makes a comment that says, act today to save tomorrow, because he makes some comparison to climate change and says that it's very much like the same thing, is that for the people that believe in climate change, they say, act today to save tomorrow. Right. And it's like, humans need to see that within the mutant kind. And then it's revealed that OZT stands for Operation Zero Tolerance. Trask was too obvious with the Sentinels, so he created Prime Sentinels as a more discreet way to deal with mutants. One mutant can do the work of 10 people, so that in the future, when it comes to
he was saying about like jobs and shit. It's like
the mutants can do the work of 10 people essentially with their abilities.
Yeah. So why would you hire 10 guys if you could pay one mutant that has the strength of 10 men, basically? So, which was very interesting as a sort of justification for wanting to do all this and needing to get rid of the mutants.
Yeah, and he basically created a perverted version of Xavier's dream, is that yes, mutants and humans will coexist, but mutants will be slaves to humanity. Then they will exploit their powers in order to serve the world, I guess.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Cooper is in complete horror of civilians being used as Prime Sentinels. Old woman asked if X-Men have had children. And it's funny because Cyclops and Jean just had a baby that they had to get rid of, and turned out to be Cable. And she talks about Bastion's birth, shows painting of the final dream. And
that's right. Yeah.
This shit's fucked up. It's like Sentinels everywhere, and he's kind of like the messianic figure, and there's flames everywhere. And he made that picture when he was 14. So it's very like Hitler like, or something.
It's literally the final solution is what they're getting at.
The final dream, dude. Yeah. Bastion's mother is revealed to be a Prime Sentinel. She does like this freaky conjointed movement.
Like a General Grievous fucking thing, man. Yeah. It's really weird.
And then she makes a comment that says, like all good art, it imitates life.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That was fucking cool.
That was fucking crazy. Rob and Jubilee are attacked by a Prime Sentinel. Prime Sentinels are going online. Tilby is a Prime Sentinel, referring to the report.
That was fucking cool when they're literally talking and Beast is like, "Oh man, all right, like I'm good. Let's fuck now." And then she turns into a fucking Prime Sentinel. I was like, dude.
Wolverine gets ass kicked by Tilby.
Oh yeah.
Cable, Cyclops, and Jean flee. Rob and Jubilee are ambushed by Sentinels. Protesters attack Xavier's school. Tilby calls Wolvie a filthy Neanderthal, which is funny because he's homo superior.
Yeah.
Tilby asks why they resist, and Wolvie says, "I got 6 reasons," and he pulls out his fucking claws.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Nightcrawler joins in and says 9, referring to his hands and his tail, or what was it? I think he was referring to his limbs or some bullshit to make the total 9 or something. And the Sentinels heal themselves. Cool fight with Wolvie and Nightcrawler, which was so good to see.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I didn't even know if Nightcrawler was going to be a character that was going to be featured in future episodes. So it's very cool to see him now incorporated with the absence of Gambit.
Yeah.
Jubilee tries to fly with her fireworks, but Rob makes a save and he becomes Sunspot, or rather he's been Sunspot, but now he's just unapologetically himself.
Yeah. And she makes that comment about like, "Oh, great, you can fly too. God damn it." He's like, "Yeah." She's like, "When did you find out?" And he's like, "Oh, I've been practicing for a fucking while." He's like, "But I still haven't really figured out how to steer," as they're like fucking flying through the shit.
Yeah. Rob saves Jubilee using his powers. The X-Men aircraft under attack with Jean, Cyclops, and Cable. Managed to get away. Summer's family have a bonding moment fighting Sentinels. Rob pleads to his mom and that the human Sentinels are trying to kill him. Sentinels say that they are there to save mutants, putting on a facade for humans. That shit was fucked up.
Yeah. That was. And then the worst part, of Roboito fucking, his mom is just like, "Oh," because they go back to the party because they don't know what the fuck to do, so they end up breaking in through there, right? But they fly through a window, and then she's like, "Just go with the people, Roberto. Just go with them." And they're like, and then the Prime Sentinel makes a thing saying, "We're saving me," because they say something about, "Oh, they're just gonna kill us." And they're like, "No, we're saving mutants." And I was like, God damn.
Yeah, talk about Bastion's plan about Sentinels being more discreet, or the elimination of mutants being more discreet. They are under the guise of humans, and when they pulled that shit in front of other humans and they're like, "Oh, we are here to save mutants," that they turned on a fucking dime, that they were attacking them 10 seconds ago, but just as soon as they showed up, they're like, "Now we're cool."
Yeah, no, we're good, man. We're straight player.
Dr. Cooper lets Magneto go. Sinister holds her down and Bastion deals with her. Dr. Cooper says Magneto was right. She gives a whole monologue about all the shit that's happening. He's like, fucking Magneto was right, dude. This is what ends up happening. And then we get cameo appearances from Spider-Man, Silver Samurai, Omega Red. Magneto shuts down the Sentinels. He pretty much turns off electricity all the way around. And then we finally get the reveal at the end of the episode that Xavier finally arrives on Earth after having been on Shi'ar for
however fucking long.
So what do you got to say about the episodes at large for both?
Man, these 2 episodes were great. They were, like you said, just packed full of shit. And I think we did a pretty good job of covering it. But yeah, so far, they have definitely made up for that shitty episode number 6. And as I said to you, I'm like, oh man, these are fucking great. I just, and I think you did the same thing too. After you watched these first 2, just continued on to 9 and 10 because it's like you can't stop now.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad we ended up holding off on watching the series so that we could just watch it all the way through. Because if I had to watch the end of this series episode by episode, if 8, 9, and 10 were released on a weekly basis,
oh yeah, man,
I don't think I could have handled it. So I'm kind of glad we waited and ended up watching it the way we did, because there's no way I could have enjoyed these episodes with the amount of cliffhangers that were being had for episodes 8, 9, and 10. But yeah, there was a lot of questions to be had.
There was so much conflict amongst the group. I mean, Rogue is now becoming more questionable as an X-Men, where she's going through she's going through grieving, but she's also dealing with it in a very nasty way that she murdered Bolivar Trask. And,
right, yeah.
And even Nightcrawler is like, holy fuck, Rogue. Like,
yeah, Jesus, calm the fuck down.
And the fight sequences, the fight sequences in towards the end, man, I really fucking enjoyed, especially when Nightcrawler and Wolverine were holding it down. And the animation's so beautiful when it shows Nightcrawler teleporting that he just blinks out of different locations. And yeah, I just I loved both these episodes for what they accomplished. I mean, immediately the introduction of Bastion because you only have so many episodes to build up Bastion as a real threat.
Right.
And they managed to do it within the first two, that he's getting more screen time. And that's a lot of ground to cover and to convince people that he is
like he's the big bad, right?
He's the big, as an individual, just by himself, like Inverse Ninja Law, the X-Men have to come together in order to defeat this one fucking guy because he's that fucking powerful. And they did an excellent job of illustrating how evil and how powerful Bastion is within 2 episodes, man. Magnificent job.
Yeah, they I don't think they could have done a better job. And I don't know what the word is, but that whole lead up to it finding out that Trask and Sinister and all of them weren't the guys pulling the strings, essentially. Mm-hmm. That was cool. And I think that's why it sold this, because I think we already kind of figured that this isn't it. There's something higher than this. And I think it planted in our minds this little subconscious thing of whoever the fuck this is got to be a badass. And when they presented him the way in which he did, oh man, so good. The
best part of all of it was that he was so condescending, not only to the mutants, but also his own accomplices.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, oh, you guys couldn't get it right. Let me show you how it's done.
Yeah.
And up until that point, he was right. Like, he executed his plan to a fucking T. And who else is gonna argue against him? Because his shit worked.
Yeah, absolutely.
He banged it out.
Yeah, he made it work, and it fucking couldn't have went any other way, I don't think, at that point. So, yeah, man, these are some top-notch fucking episodes, and I will say, obviously, we're going to do, right after this, you'll be able to hear the finales of episodes 9 and 10, basically, for the season 1. And, yeah, they did a great job in recovering from that shitty episode 6, like I said. And, again, it just got me more invested in this, and I'm all in favor.
And to further talk about, even in the ranks of the X-Men themselves, I mean, you don't even know if the shit's going to work out because there's dissent amongst their own tribe. I mean, Cable hates his dad, and he hates Jean too because she looks like his mother, but she's not.
Yeah.
And he told her to fuck off a couple different times.
Right. Yeah. Basically,
like for her not to not antagonize, but she was being like careful with him. He's like, oh, you just be careful with this or that. And he's like, no, don't tell me what to do. I'm an adult.
Yeah. I'll do what I want. I'll do what I
want. And then Rogue being the problematic figure within the X-Men and everybody being in horror about what she does. Yeah, that shit was crazy. And I'd even say that the Jubilee and Rob stuff was becoming interesting because what ended up happening with the mother and her being negligent to her own son. Like that was all right, cool. Like this fucking had a payoff. Like this part had a payoff when I didn't really care about Rob and Jubilee all that much.
Yeah, and it makes you fucking think about, God damn it, was that kind of was almost necessary to have that stupid little side adventure with them. And yeah, it was shitty and I didn't like it, but it was necessary now looking at, because I don't know if I would have cared as much about this if I didn't see them in their own little side episodes. So I get it now. It makes sense with why they did it. So fuck, man, the show is so good.
Yeah. So I don't have anything else to add. I just got to say that episodes 7 and 8 were a great follow up to 6, not only because 6 set the bar so low, but
Yeah.
the ceiling for these 2 episodes, was broken.
Oh yeah, it blew it out of the fucking water. No doubt in my mind. So yeah, I don't have anything more to add other than it was awesome. And I hope everybody enjoyed it because it was fucking great. And as we're gonna see in episodes 9 and 10, it shit just gets even crazier. So, anyways, well, that's pretty much it. You'll hear the guy at the end. The tell you all the shit of where to go, so you can listen to it. I'm not gonna repeat it now, but if you want to listen to Millennial Frog's new 3-album drop, you can go get those out wherever albums are sold, literally anywhere. And you can also hear it on our podcast network as a podcast, essentially. So if you want to hear it, it's Poverty of Content, The Gentleman Known as Millennial Frog, and 30-Second Master. So give those a listen, and, well, stay tuned for the next episode, which will be episodes 9 and 10 of X-Men Season 7. So with that, thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Oh, hey there, buddy. It's me, 1930s announcer guy, here to congratulate you on making it through this episode. As our heroes are getting in their jalopies and riding off into the literal sunset, they wanted me to tell you thanks for listening to the radio broadcast, and should you be so kind as to follow them on some fancy schmancy radio station publication called Instagram and TikTok at Game Range Magazine, and on some other thing called Twitter/X at Game Range Mag. Also, they wanted me to inform you and ask if you could be so kind again as to visit something called a website at www.GameRageMagazine.com. I don't know what that is, buddy, but you should probably go do those things. And, don't forget to tune in next time to the Game Rage Movies and TV radio broadcast.